A civilization begins to decay when ideology becomes more important than reality. One of the most persistent myths in economics is the belief that markets will always heal themselves. If governments simply stand aside and wait, the theory sounds elegant. The reality is far less forgiving. During the early years of the Great Depression, political leaders placed their faith in the self-correcting power of markets. They believed the crisis would eventually resolve itself if left alone. Instead, unemployment exploded, businesses collapsed, and entire communities descended into poverty. The public response was so severe that sprawling settlements of the homeless became known as Hoovervilles, a permanent reminder that theories are judged by outcomes, not intentions. The flaw was never economic. It was psychological. Every model that assumes humans instantly adapt to economic shocks is built upon a fantasy. A man who spent 20 years becoming an engineer does not casually abandon his profession. A family does not willingly downgrade its home, uproot its children, sever lifelong relationships, and relocate across the country simply because a graph says it would be efficient. People are not rational economic machines. They are creatures of habit, status, identity, fear, and attachment. That reality changes everything. A system can only self-correct if the people inside it are capable of moving as quickly as the theory demands. They rarely do. Yet the opposite error is equally dangerous. History shows that governments often intervene far beyond the point of necessity. Temporary crisis management gradually transforms into permanent management. Emergency powers become standard operating procedure. Markets become increasingly distorted by subsidies, favoritism, regulatory capture, and political incentives. The result is neither capitalism nor socialism. The result is a hybrid system where political power and economic power merge into one structure. This is where crony capitalism emerges. Profits remain private, losses become public. Competition weakens, gatekeepers strengthen. The language remains free market, the mechanics become oligarchy. Current economic conditions reveal this tension with remarkable clarity. Housing affordability across the United States remains near historic lows. Young adults are increasingly delaying home ownership, moving back in with parents, and postponing major life milestones because housing costs have significantly outpaced affordability. Researchers continue to warn that affordability may take years to recover under current conditions. At the same time, policymakers remain trapped between competing dangers. Inflation remains stubborn, growth is slowing. Some economists are warning about stagflationary pressures, while central bankers continue debating whether tighter monetary policy will be required to contain rising costs. This is where ideological extremes reveal their weakness. The ultra-free market purist believes every problem can be solved through inaction. The central planner believes every problem can be solved through control. Both underestimate complexity. One ignores human behavior. The other ignores human incentives. Power accumulates wherever reality is ignored. That is why the political conflict dominating modern societies is often misunderstood. The battle is not between left and right. It is between competing coalitions seeking control over the same machinery. Different rhetoric, different branding, similar appetites for power. The strategic observer understands that economic systems are never governed by theory alone. They are governed by incentives. They are governed by coalitions. They are governed by the people who benefit most from the rules remaining exactly as they are. And every serious analysis of society begins there. That is why, as to stand power, study incentives before ideology. Those who understand society study outcomes before promises. Those who understand both rarely become surprised by history.
I have become extraordinary at pretending. You would be proud. I smile in all the right places. I laugh when laughter is expected. I nod. I wave. I ask people how they've been, while entire galaxies collapse behind my eyes. Darling, there is an art to dying quietly. Most people imagine grief as a hurricane, a screaming thing, a shattered thing. They never speak of the graveyards hidden beneath perfect teeth. They never speak of the corpses buried beneath a practiced smile. Mine is beautiful. God, how beautiful it is. I wear it like a porcelain mask, polished carefully each morning, until even mirrors believe it. People tell me I look happy, healthy, strong. I thank return home and peel the expression from my face like wet skin. Beneath it, nothing. Not sadness, not anger, not despair. Something worse. An emptiness so vast it echoes. Sometimes I wonder if I disappeared years ago and nobody noticed. Perhaps this body continues walking. Perhaps this voice continues speaking. Perhaps everyone I love is merely conversing with a ghost. At night I sit alone inside the ruins of myself and listen. There should be a heartbeat there. There should be dreams. There should be something. Instead, I hear only wind moving through abandoned rooms, yet tomorrow I will smile again. A masterpiece of deception. A work of art. Because the cruelest secret I have ever learned is this: people do not look closely at smiling faces. And so the hollow things become invisible, and the invisible things learn how to survive.
In every nature, two fires struggle for supremacy. One is the pure white fire of spirit, the flame of the first logos. That universal fire which burns through the ages with clear, steady glow, lighting the way of salvation and leading all humanity towards the abode of peace. The other fire is the false flame of hate and desire, whose flickering uncertainty throws grotesque shadows upon the face of space. Men gaze upon their own distorted reflections and see gods and demons in the empty air. Sin and death serve the false flame, whose greedy tongues must continually be fed with the bodies and souls of men. Among the Kabbalistic traditions is one to the effect that there are two races. One a heavenly race, the other of the earth earthly. All men did not descend from the mystic Adam. There were some of heavenly origin. These were the true sons of the flame, and the fires of aspiration burned bright within them. They were tempestuous spirits, rebelling ever against the low limitations of the dark and unresponsive world. They were heavenly creatures, and their father was the spirit of fur. In ancient times they were the great initiates, and in later ages their royal line. produced the Hermetic philosophers, the alchemists, ceremonial magicians, Rosicrucians, and finally Freemasons. The other humanity, arising from Adam, lacked the fire of holy purpose and were called the sons of water. These have flooded through the ages, patient under all adversity, lacking ambition and content to remain in an inferior state.
I think I am vanishing. Not all at once. Not with a scream. But the way old photographs fade when forgotten inside dusty drawers. Their faces dissolving slowly until no one remembers who they were. Every morning I leave pieces of myself behind. I laugh in the kitchen. A dream on the pillow. A memory bleeding quietly through cracks nobody else can see. Darling, there are funerals that happen long before the body dies. I know. I attend my own every day. People still speak to me, still smile, still ask how I've been. Yet their eyes move through me like moonlight through stained glass. Beautiful, cold, never stopping long enough to stay. Sometimes I stand in crowded rooms and feel my edges coming undone. My voice sounds distant. My reflection arrives seconds late. Even the mirror seems uncertain whether I belong there anymore. At night I hear something eating me. Not flesh, not bone. Something deeper. It feeds upon names, upon memories, upon every proof I ever existed. The walls do
do not notice. The stars do not notice. The people who once swore they would never leave do not notice. And so the creature grows, patient, ancient, hidden beneath my ribs. Every year it takes another piece, a scar, a story, a version of myself. Soon there will be nothing left except a shape wearing my face, a ghost pretending to be alive. And perhaps that is the cruelest horror, not that I disappeared, but that the world continued turning, the birds continued singing, the sun continued rising, and no one ever realized I was gone.